Now let's start with this presentation. This presentation, as you all know, is magic of droplets. Now, droplet photography, a lot of us must be seeing, and I think Ananth is one of them who had started quite some time back, and he had shown us his pictures once in the hall, and he had even done a demonstration. But this time we thought we can reach more people via Google Meet. So that is how we've done in this presentation. Now, so just to tell you a little about liquid drop photography, it is a genre of high-speed photography to create colorful images of water droplets colliding to form interesting formations such as human figures, mushrooms, umbrellas, and abstracts. So during the slideshow, Ananth will be sharing his knowledge acquired over time to create stunning water droplet photographs. I think there's a lot to do with how you combine different pictures and create something out of whatever you have clicked. It's not that you just click something and share it. So there's a lot of work which happens post clicking. So this is what he is going to talk about also and show us. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. And to introduce Ananth briefly, he is a software engineer by profession based in Bengaluru, of course. He has been a proud member of YPS since 2016. So we all joined YPS together. And he's passionate about macro travel and still life photography. So as an active participant in salons, he has won over 1,850 acceptances and over 200 awards in national and international salons. So his photographs have been exhibited in over 35 countries. And he strongly believes in sharing his learnings and encourages others to pursue their passion for photography. So he's been conducting multiple sessions of basics of photography at his workplace. I think he's one of the a few members who is very active in spreading this knowledge of photography among his colleagues. His presentation titled Mundane to Magnificent at the YPS webinar and a subsequent feature in Dṛṣṭi was loved by members. He was also a guest speaker at Neralu Belaku, an online Kannada photography discussion forum. And 2 years ago, Ananth was inspired by the work of Mr. Deep Bhatia and joined his online course on basics of droplet photography. And today he's advanced so much that he can teach people. So I've been asking him to conduct a workshop here for YPS. Let us see when he's going to come forward and offer his knowledge so that others can learn. And so right now, he's going to show the magic of droplet photography. And let's enjoy this session. Over to you, Ananth. Before that,
thanks.
I would request everybody to keep their, everybody's muted and to stay on this. If you have any questions, please do write in the chat, or you can ask at the end of the session when we open up the conversation for everyone. If it is in the middle of a session, then I'll see, and if it is pertaining to that particular image, I shall interrupt Ananth and ask him the question. Thank you. So over to you, Ananth.
Thank you so much, Prema ma'am, for the wonderful introduction and also setting the context of droplet photography. It makes my work a lot easier. And thanks to everyone who joined as well. I'll start sharing my screen right now. Okay. Ma'am, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. So to give you a brief background, so what happened is back when I started my journey of photography with YPS itself. So travel and macro was something that I was very much keen on. Both of them were very extensively outdoor activities, where I was always outdoors to take the photographs. But when the COVID happened and lockdown was imposed, so we all were stuck at home, and I was exploring what I can do. So the clicking sound of a camera was very addictive, and I was trying to explore what I can shoot within home. So that is when I was identifying very mundane things around me, trying to capture everything. I wanted to get my macro lens out as well. So I was trying to explore what other things, very innovative things that I can create with the macro lens. So there was a presentation at YPS back during the first lockdown, and it was called Mundane to Magnificent. And then I also submitted an article for Dṛṣṭi, where very mundane things that is around us, where you don't have to go out to identify these and take photographs. So during this phase, there was one idea that occurred to me is this. So what I did is I took a plastic cover, added some colored water in that, pinched a hole into it. When it was dropping on a tray, at that right moment, I was trying to click the photograph of that water droplet hitting the surface. At that time, I had absolutely no fundamentals. I didn't know what I'm going to do. I wasn't even sure what is going to be the results. But this was how my setup looked, and this is what I got as an output. So I was intrigued with how the droplet is working. So I made few more pictures with a similar method, where just a plastic cover, put a hole into it, and try to focus on the point of intersection. If you see this, I used a big nail into a tray of water. This was my focal point. So this is where I was focusing my camera on, so that at the point of contact, I get the right focus on my subject. So that is how I was trying to focus my water droplet. And there was a flash, and I was I was clicking photographs. However, there was lot of issues which I'll come later. But this was my setup, and I was getting photographs like this. No special collision, but just a uh, drop of water. There's a specific term for this, but I'll come to that. So this was another picture I made with a similar setup. It looked like a pearl in an oyster. Then it started creating new formations. So these are like different kind of photographs that I was able to take with that very basic setup at home, without any work. Then during the second wave, I was unfortunately admitted to hospital as well. And while when I got discharged and came back home, I made sure I carry all these bottles of glucose. So I tried to make something new, because in the previous set of photographs that you saw, one thing I didn't have control on is the flow of water from the plastic cover. So it was continuously flowing, and I didn't know when exactly it is going to hit the surface of the water. So I thought I can control the droplets more timely way, using these IV tubes, because we have that controls over there. So I tried to use these to make some photographs. And the setup was very much similar, with the external flash connected to the camera. There's a yellow background. A4 sheet is what I used here as a yellow background. However, again, I was not very much impressed with the results. In fact, with the basic setup that you saw initially, they gave me better pictures than with the IV tubes. That is the irony of it. So if you see the output here, two things that you will notice. One is so many drops, nothing very interesting patterns. There's just a few drops in focus probably, but uh, there was no sense to the colors that I added to these liquids. Like there is a orange, there is a blue, but doesn't make sense. I cannot see it in my results. So what did I achieve here? So basically, it was nothing that I achieved. But sometime at the same time, YPS invited Mr. Deep Bhatia for a presentation on droplet photography. To be frank, I was absolutely clueless what his work is about. Never heard of him before, but somehow looking at his presentation, I was very much keen. How did he achieve this? Because I have never been able to achieve this with all these trials that I've been doing since last almost 1 year. So that intrigued me, and I joined his course. Then he explained very fundamental things about droplet, what we need to know before we start. That is something that I was lacking initially. So in this slide, what you are seeing is how the water behaves, a liquid behaves. So this behavior was actually, this study was done by a person named Worthington back in 1905, and he explained how a liquid behaves. If you see the first picture, that is the first droplet that is released. The moment it hits the surface of a base tray of water, it creates something called as crown. So the moment it hits, it creates a crown. Then subsequently, it becomes a crater. So this is how the water becomes. Then something like this, a tower, comes up from the surface of the water. This is called as Worthington jet. So if you achieve this, to take a picture of a Worthington jet, you have cleared your first phase of droplet photography. So getting this is itself the first stage of learning art of droplet photography. So when the Worthington jet is created, we release a second droplet such that it hits the surface, I mean the tip of this Worthington jet, and that bursts out to form a pattern like what you are seeing here. There is a collision at this exact moment. This is formed by the second droplet. This was the first droplet. So we need to understand how the water behaves. Then the second thing that we have to learn is the viscosity. So we learned back in probably fourth or fifth standard about viscosity of liquid, and we learned that water has a viscosity of 1, the value 1 unit. I don't remember, it is like PS or something. But then whatever is thicker, viscosity is nothing but thickness. So milk is more thicker than water, juice is thicker than the milk, honey is thicker than juice or water, oil, then probably jam or sauce. These are more thicker. So that is what we have to understand, that this is something, there's something called as viscosity, which is very essential for us to control water. Water is very unpredictable on its own. So what we need to do is play around with the viscosity of that water to make it more predictable while we are taking the photographs. So this is again something that I didn't realize during the first phase. That's why if you see, the IV tubes were very much unpredictable. If as simple as if I had used little higher viscosity liquid in my IV tubes, probably I would have got a better picture. So that is what we need to learn before we start water droplet photography. Viscosity, and then definitely the way water behaves. So this is something I got custom made. Definitely, it was on the recommendation during my basics of droplet photography course. So what you see here, there is a droplet. There are some wires connecting to the electricity. Then something goes to the flash, something goes to the camera. So this is quite detailed. So probably in a workshop or during the demo, I had shown everyone how it exactly works, but this is how it looks like. So there is one tube where I can control with my phone at what time it should release. So there is a solenoid valve. Solenoid valve is basically it is used in plumbing, in geysers, when it can release water, when to hold the water. So that is a very basic like plumbing terminology. So it has a solenoid valve, and then this is a normal tube, and then there is a external flash which I normally point towards the background, so that I get the colors from the background. And then so we control everything, the timer, when to release, how many drops we should release, when the flash should trigger, everything is controlled with the application, mobile application. And the result that I got, okay, I'll come to the results later. But again, this is all the items that I'm currently using for my droplet photography. I use a macro lens. I have a DSLR camera, Canon 80D, one speed light. Uh, Highly recommended. You cannot do this with a handheld camera. It has to be tripod mounted. There are two horizontal bars, two stands with a horizontal bar. And this is that kit that I was talking about. This is a ready-made. Someone from the from Pune had created this. It's called Drop Robo. So this is that valve. This is the droplet. There are a lot of wires to connect to the camera, to the flash. Xanthan gum, or alternatively, we can also use called guar gum. These are all thickening agents. We normally use it for cooking also. What we are doing is little bit a pinch of xanthan gum or guar gum. We mix it with the water, uh, purify it, and that is what we add colors. These are food colors. Don't highly recommended not to use watercolors that our kids use, but it has to be food color because it blends uh, very well in the water. And if you saw the first picture, I had used a normal nail, right? The difference here is that I'm using one valve. It's like a connector, steel connector. So the water passes through this. So I have to keep it upside down, focus my camera on this tip such that the water droplet falls into it. So that is how I will focus my camera. I'll put it on the manual settings. I will not use a autofocus. I have to use a manual settings because the water is continuously flowing. And then there are some trays, different size trays, where you collect the water in the base. So this is basically what all devices I am using right now. So this was my first ever picture. So for the initial people who have not don't have basic idea of how it looks, might be related to some soldier or a lady with a hat. So I got like 4 or 5 versions of how it looks like. However, there is one lesson learned here. Every picture that I was trying to take was coming up like this, and very thick. It was not really getting me the Worthington jet. Like I mentioned, the Worthington jet is the first stage. If you achieve that, then the next step is not so hard. So I tried to find out what is the reason. It was purely because the viscosity was very high. So I had to keep it very subtle. It was my first try, so I added a lot of xanthan gum, and everything was very thick. So this is what happens. You will not get a predictable pattern when you use a high viscosity. So the lesson learned here is that you have to be accurate on what is the viscosity that you're using for your droplet photography. So this was finally, with lot of tries, I got my result. I got the Worthington jet. I got that collision also. This was very decent try, and I was pretty much happy with the results here. Now what next? I have to keep exploring. I cannot be content with what I'm getting. So I tried something new, but here if you see, what I did is, in the base tray I used green liquid, and from the dropper I used blue. The mistake that I did is the tube was not exactly vertical, so it is not aligned. If you see, this Worthington jet is going somewhere else, the next drop, the second drop, is going somewhere else. So it is not at all. So it becomes very critical how your dropper is placed. So initially I used a spirit level, so to get that accuracy, that it was exactly on like 90 degrees or 270 degrees. So once that is defined, that is when you have the higher chances of getting a proper collision. Then there was another mistake that I did. I gave you a hint earlier also that I was using A4 sized paper as a background. So if you see here, because of the shape of the droplet, you can see the entire paper here. So because it is comparatively very small, A4 is quite small for a droplet, because of that convex shape, it will start appearing in a picture. So I had here, my takeaway is that you should at least use a A3 size paper, A3 or better A2, so that it gives a good coverage and the background doesn't look look like this in your output. So my plan today is that for every picture I will tell you how my journey was, what was the takeaway, what was the lessons learned, so and then what is the ultimate thing that I achieved. So that is what I am going to give you this time, because it is, the learning is like iterative. So at the first try, this is something that this is not so easy that you will get it accurate the first try itself. There is a journey. So definitely, it took me 3 years almost to learn, and still I don't get results which is very predictable. And another beauty of water droplet is something that I want to add is that you never you can never create two pictures which is exactly the same. So your pictures are always unique. So that will create your identity. So that is what I can tell you about droplet photography. So any questions till now, Prema ma'am? Is my speed fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, Ananth. Yeah. So there's a question saying how many shutters were clicked overall to achieve this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. So I will try to add a few things that if you see, there are few later also you will see some pictures that even if there is a tube light on, so that reflection comes up. So here probably it is somewhere my tube lights were on. The flash was pointed in the background, but the reflections have come up here. If there is some other colors or in the surroundings, that also might get reflected. So there are a lot of things that keeps disturbing. So what I used to do is, after my family goes to sleep in the night, switch off all the lights and then take these photographs. And if you see these pictures, yes, it would take at least like 50-60 photos for this. After 50 tries, this is something was worth seeing. But the good thing compared to the manual setting that I showed in the beginning is that there my focal point would sometimes mess me up. I mean, I wouldn't get everything in focus. Here, at least I used to get something in focus. So focal focus was never a concern, but getting the shapes was the main challenge. So probably for this, I would have taken 50 photographs at least. So we were here. Yeah, Prema ma'am, any other questions?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay, then this was the next try. So I tried with liquid, water, plain water with added colors. However, the next lesson after knowing about viscosity, knowing about behavior of water, then I had to learn about opacity also. I mentioned that in the IV tubes, I used orange and blue colors, but it was not showing up because it was not opaque at all. So the thing that I have to do is add a little bit of milk, probably just 10% in your water. Um, Definitely, it will add to your viscosity and it will improve your opacity. So there are a lot of terms here. Opacity is nothing but uh, to not let light pass through it, right? So the transparency is reduced here. So I added a little bit of milk in my solution. The solution was a combination of xanthan gum and water, like I mentioned earlier also. So it added more opacity. So when I used yellow color, little bit of orangish color, so I could get that opaque, that it brought up the colors further. I could have used bold colors, but yeah, it was my first try with milk. So I can't complain it now, but definitely with lot of tries, I got this result with a nice mushroom-like pattern. Then there is another in my camera, there is like multiple exposure feature also. So I thought like, let me explore that. So you can always have that room to like use your creative thoughts, how you can make use of that, take advantage of that and create new pictures. So here I used two exposures. So if you see there in one exposure, there were droplets falling. The collision is still not there. In the second one, it formed a nice collision. So it created a combination picture. So if you see this, this was in my, I spent almost entire night to create all these. If you see, if you notice these, see, none of these are repeat. Every time I got a new pattern, irrespective of what settings I made, it was not like 8 clicks and I got this 8. Definitely, I took like 200 or 300 photographs, and only 8 of these looked interesting. So definitely, this was one of my most happiest night because I got a lot of good results, and I was very proud of myself to create this. Then next day, what I did is I used the same liquid. I had kept it in the fridge, and when I took it out, I got a very nice pattern. I thought this is beautiful, but the lesson that I got here is that because of the milk, there was curdling effect. So if you see the lot of it, it is not consistent. If you see lot of blacks and not very consistent, this is not a very good thing to see in a very nice picture. But when I used milk, I had to be very careful because you cannot repeat using it. And it formed cream in my tube also, the tube, the dropper tube. It formed a very oily tube, and it ruined almost all my subsequent photographs. So it is very necessary that you clean all your devices with hot water the same day. Don't let it settle down for long time. Don't reuse uh, objects which get spoiled. So very there is something that some hygiene that we have to follow in this photography also. So if you see, definitely I loved the pattern, some kind of the exact moment it is looking like a face, some kind of uh, um, like a manly picture with a cloak. So I thought it is good, but yes, this curdling of the milk spoiled it for me. Then I tried exploring more of this is one of the beauties. So what we do here is, it is like um, the first drop will create the Worthington jet. Second drop will create that mushroom like pattern where it collides with the tip of the Worthington jet and creates a mushroom like pattern. And then the third drop is created, and you capture the picture before it collides. This will give you a like a woman like look. You can call it a man or woman, but yes, with feminine features, it is possible to create that with 3 drops. So I started exploring with creating this feminine creatures, and I tried exploring with different opacity. I tried exploring with different background, because the same kind of white background becomes very monotonous. I have to create new kind of pictures. So for that, different patterns, different colors, different kind of textures, so all different kind of lightings, of course. So all had to be explored to create new kind of images every other day. So I played around. So here also a little bit of feminine features, but there is a little bit, very, very small quantity of milk I added. So you see that translucent opacity. I mean, not very bold opacity, but a little bit transparent. So you can call it as translucent. So I played around again with the white background, just the tip, not including the base. I probably used black color here just to see how it looks like. I felt like a Oscar trophy or Filmfare trophy. So I tried exploring that. Then here again, I actually love this photograph somehow. Very it has come very neat in my opinion. Different colors. If you see all these pictures, I intentionally kept these photographs to show you different patterns that can form and the different colors. Here, I didn't use any colors in the water at all. I kept it very plain, but just I added some guar gum to improve the opacity. But that also was very less. So that's why if you see, it is very much scattering everywhere. So that is what I mentioned. So if you are using water, it is very unpredictable. It can splash and go anywhere. You cannot get proper collision anywhere. So that's why you have to improve the viscosity of the water. Something like a camel, then like a bird. I call it as aqua bird. Then this is another method where we can play around with the number of collisions also. So there's a jet. The jet was strong enough, and it was like comparatively very longer. The good practice is to have around 2 inches of the Worthington jet, but this was probably 4 inches. So when it reached 2 inches, there was a collision. When it continued till 4 inches, there was another collision. So this is called as double collision. So this is a method that I didn't get a lot of good results, but this is something that we can try out as well. My next try was to get reflections. So reflections is not so easy as it appears, because the angle with which you have to keep your camera, uh, that becomes more tricky. So you definitely cannot use small bowl for your base. It has to be very long tray, where you'll be able to capture the reflection also. So my tray was the initially the most of the photographs that you see here was just a normal bowl, normal black colored bowl, so that a lot of colors don't come up. In some of the past photos, you might have seen colored bowls also, but yeah, later I started using a black colored bowl, not to get any extra colors. Like the color casting, I wanted to reduce that. So I played around with reflections. So this is another thing that you can explore when you start your journey with droplet photography. Another pattern, another color. Again, different colors, different patterns. Then this is something that I feel was a very good achievement from my side also. I got a very good feminine featured photographs in one of my trials with different droplet photography over multiple nights. So it is like someone playing like a Spanish dance, tap dance kind of dress up. So I use it often in my salons also. I call it as the pink lady. So I've got some acceptances. And then one lucky day, this is what I got. Um, Coincidentally, it was during Navratri holidays. I was trying different things, and then suddenly I was able to create a lady-like feature. My collision was looking like a lady, and it got me inspired because it was Navratri. It looked like literally a blessing from goddess Durga. So I did a little bit of manipulation here. This is my real photographs. So I have done some composite here. This was tightly cropped. I removed the extra droplets which is scattered here and there. And I used bits and pieces from here as the trishul. So this was what I feel created one nice identity for me. This photograph became very I wouldn't say viral, but was became very popular. Many people appreciated it, and this is what I could achieve with a single dropper during the journey of my basics of water droplet course itself. Any questions for anybody till now?
Well, there's only appreciation, like amazing shots and movement, all that.
Okay, okay.
There's
Thank you
been
so
no
much, everyone.
questions so far. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. So now you might have seen a lot of things that I did till now in this presentation, like different kind of formations, different opacity, all those things I told you again and again. But then what next? So it becomes monotonous, right? For even for me, when clicking, I want to bring up something more creative. Uh, so adding props, adding different kind of props to create something new which people have not seen before is what I try to continue my journey with. So uh, this droplet collision within a bottle, then this like chai and Parleji fans will love this picture. So I try to create collision in tea, using tea in a teacup with Parleji, which many people love. So I try to create this picture also. Then during Ganesh Chaturthi, I try to do something. To be frank, I wanted to create the like a formation of Ganesha, thinking that a droplet will be like the Sondila. Then I thought I had a lot of vision, but it didn't. It There were multiple nights which were a big failure for me. I couldn't achieve what I wanted to do. But ultimately, I thought, okay, I shouldn't be fallen back during the occasion. So just for the sake, to create my own greeting card, I created this picture with Ganesha with a droplet besides Ganesha's idol. So even I try to create a lot of occasion specific, so that during Navratri, since I got that goddess Durga picture, I thought for every occasion I will try to create something. Ram Navami, I want to create something which looks like Ram. I tried a lot. I was successful in creating Narasimha's image also. Unfortunately, don't have it in this presentation, but I was successful in doing that. So I tried to keep up with the crowd and try to give them something new with these additional props. So then, as the journey goes on, ultimately we have to do something new. So I upgraded myself to three droppers now. So all these pictures you saw till now was a single dropper. So now I wanted to play around with three droppers. The benefit of this is that each droplet I can have a different color, and the result, you will not believe, it can be more than three colors. If you see, blue and yellow will make green, so I might get a fourth color. If I use some other red color in my base tray, I might get a fifth color also. So the possibilities with three droppers are numerous. It is the device that I mentioned, the drop robo device. It supports only three droppers, so I couldn't experiment with more. Here the trick is again the focusing. So you have to. It is a little bit challenging because with a single dropper and that device that I showed, I probably have it. If you can see it in the camera. So this is that small valve I got from a hardware store. So the droplet passes through this and you can focus it. But when it is three tubes, I have to align in them in such a way that all three drops falls in this single wall. So that was the most difficult part with three droppers. So I tried experimenting with three colors. Here was the one of the results in the initial days. If you see, blue, green, yellow, orange, there's some kind of like all iridescent colors here. So the possibilities are numerous. Even if you have three colors, you can play around to create. Uh, you can get more colors here. And here, definitely, to get more colors means you have to use water. With plain water, you will not get such amazing results. So definitely, you will have to waste some milk and purchase extra half-liter milk every day if you're trying this out. So this was another picture. If you see here, I mean, the point of attraction are the colors itself. People normally get attracted to colors, right? So you have to use very cool and attractive, bold, those who like bold colors. So you will love these kind of photographs. There was a collision with nice colors. This actually I tried. Again, I'll be frank here. This was not what I expected. This was for Republic Day. I used the tricolors. I used white plain milk. I used saffron color. I used green color. I was expecting to get a like multiple collisions, like one green here, saffron here, and the white Worthington jet. I was not so successful, but still, use. If I didn't tell you, you might have probably loved this photograph as well. Same day, I got one more feminine feature like a dupatta with in green, or so it is a common dressing you see during Independence Day and Republic Day. Again, different patterns, different colors. Then I try to create some feminine features. So, so this was one of those pictures where I got a feminine output here. So here, if you see again, so the milk is not exactly like mixed properly. So it is getting separated from the solution of water and xanthan gum. So we have to be very careful. One of the things that I can think of right now is when I was taking this picture, this was not really visible to the naked eyes. So when I was taking the picture and seeing it in my viewfinder, I found it to be very nice picture. I was very proud of it. But when I saw it in a larger screen, then all these problems started appearing. But still, I'm okay. Uh,
But
then,
very honestly, the pattern actually has made it very interesting instead of just
mm,
a plain this thing. It has given a structure and a nice
mhm.
pattern to that. It looks like a jug, a very nice marble jug.
Yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, like they say. So then I try to combine all these things, multiple colors, reflections. Here I wanted to try without milk, like contrary to what I said earlier. If you want to bring out colors, add milk. But I wanted to experiment further. So I didn't have anything added to this, just the solution, colored solution with xanthan gum, and I got this result. So with white background also, I tried a lot. I got a lot of things like this. So this was one more thing. Then again, this is one more method. So like I mentioned about using props, right? So here, what I try to do is create a soap bubble. So soap bubble is creation is not so difficult. What I did is in a bowl of water, I added Vim liquid, Vim detergent liquid, and with a straw I tried to blow it up, and that formation happened. But will it stay when the droplet falls? So that is the trick part. So in many of the pictures, where as soon as the droplet falls, even before the Worthington jet happens, it loses the pattern and this gets burst. So I was not getting the right results, but probably I tried at least 400 to 500 pictures, and one of these was really good. There was one more picture where I got the explosion also. So the moment this bubble burst, so there was like that moment was really beautiful, but the jet was not so good. Whatever collision I got was not so beautiful, so I don't have it in this presentation. But this is something that you definitely should try. uh, Whether the output is fantastic or not, it doesn't matter sometimes. the entire journey is what you will thoroughly enjoy. So it was like a stress buster to me, that entire night I am trying to achieve something, many failures, I want to get it better, want to achieve something. It was purely it was pure bliss, and was a good stress buster for me when I was trying all these different kind of experiment despite all the failures. So again, occasion specific photograph. During one of the Independence Days, I tried this with 3 glasses, different colors, different collisions, different then finally, this I believe is one of my most successful photographs. Minimal manipulation, like in Durga, at least the Trishul, what I had added was manipulated, but this was almost first time right. Definitely, this was among 1,000 photographs, and I am proud to say here that this was not random photograph. Among all the trials to achieve something, I wanted to create this for Krishna Janmashtami. I thank the committee also. They had used this as the greeting card for all the members and had posted it on YPS Instagram and Facebook, all the pages. So this was very much planned. I desperately wanted, because it was a long gap, I created something interesting, worth catching attention. So I wanted to create this Krishna. I used colors accordingly. I planned my droppers accordingly, and somehow I got this result. And here is my one of my most successful photographs of Krishna. So that concludes my presentation for today. I hope you all liked it, and like I say, this is a very long journey spanning 3 years, and I couldn't put all my photographs here for a reason well known. Uh, it will bore you up. So I try to pick up different kind of experiments, what all we can do with droplet photography, what all we need to play around with, and how you can create something unique to grab some attention. I'll be honest that during my travel photography or during my macro nature photography, I had lot of things to learn. I was always behind or a backbencher, I would say. But the moment I started doing this droplet photography, it created an identity. So I really encourage people to start something new and unique, bring unique things to the table. So thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, Prema ma'am, any questions till now?
So it was a beautiful presentation, and hats off to your patience and your dedication for a genre that you love. So very good pictures, Ananth, and I'm sure it would have, it would have inspired a lot of them to try this. Now, there are a few messages that have come up, and if I may take them up. So, what shutter speed do you take this shots at?
ಬಸವಣ್ಣವ್ರೇ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ್ಯಪ್ಪ ಅಯ್ಯೋ
Once
ಶಿವನೇ
again, once again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
missed the question. What is the shutter speed?
Okay. What is the shutter speed?
Okay. So it is one of the very critical things that I actually forgot to share it in the presentation. Thanks for bringing this question. So if you saw in initial stage also, the camera that I was using is regular DSLR camera, entry level camera, not a very advanced. So even if I go to the highest shutter speed, I will have to compromise on my aperture also. So I will get with the darkness, right? So I will not get the exposure that I want. So what helps here is the speed light. So speed light, definitely we know that light, the speed of light, right? There's no measure that we can put it in a camera for the speed of light. So what or I am doing in my droplet photography is that the speed light that I'm using, the external flash, I put it on manual at 1/64 manual setting. So what it does is the uh, the speed of light for that flash it becomes almost 1/15,000 of a second. So so if you go further, 1/128, that will become like 30,000 of a second. So you have to play around with the manual settings of speed light or the flash. There's a lot of speed and light here, so I'll use the term flash. So when you go with 1/64 in your flash, the speed of light will be 1/15,000 of a second. So that is what I am taking advantage of during this droplet photography. So droplet photography is a high speed photography, right? And how do I achieve high speed? It's take advantage of the flash. So that is how we achieve this speed. So definitely with the camera, we cannot achieve that speed.
This question was by Manjunath. Hope is satisfied with the answer. Now, William Matthews says, appreciate your nature of not getting happy with whatever you get, but keep trying more and more. That, of course, yes, it's. I think every photographer needs to be very patient, and this especially requires even more patience. Though, you may not be taking pictures sitting there and manually doing it, but then afterwards it needs a lot of patience. So Satish says, images without shapes, maybe looking like a Naga Sadhu, occasion specific. Have you tried any now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a long break of droplet photography now. So I'll have to start thinking what to do next. Definitely, there are probably those who remember or who attended my session at YPS Hall. So I'd proudly told that I will do this next, I will do that next. So most of these are still due. So I want to achieve those also in my journey. So
I'm sure you will. Yeah. So Madhu Kakri says, I appreciate your dedication, which shows off in your extraordinary pictures.
Thank you, sir.
Then India says, what about keeping camera at a distance and using smaller aperture to handle focusing issue? Is that possible?
See, the settings that I normally use is high aperture itself, because you want clarity when we are creating this feminine features, and all. Definitely we have to go with a higher aperture. So my normal aperture ranges from 11 to 16. So when I am going
and
for
it's a macro lens also.
it's a macro lens. So so that's why using aperture we need the clarity, but you have to compromise on the lighting, which like I said just now, we have to take advantage of the flash settings to get the right exposure. One more caution that I would say, I forgot to mention earlier, there is a risk associated to the entire photography, because you have like expensive cameras, expensive flashes at a very close distance with lot of water. Especially when you are using large trays filled with water to get the reflection, it is highly likely if something goes wrong, your flash might fall down into the water, or it might get spilled. So one of the best practices that I was doing is to wrap a transparent plastic cover over my flash devices wherever possible. Keep a towel very handy to avoid any spillages. And also I was shielding my camera lens with a lot of other things also. So that is something that that risk comes along with the droplet genre.
Okay. Umesh Tamaya says, wonderful images, Ananth. And Satish also says, very good experiments and nice creations. Then there are a couple of thank you messages also. So what I would rather say is, if anybody has any questions, specific questions, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask Ananth directly now that he has finished with the presentation.
Yeah, I have one question. My name is Ajit Doshi.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking from the Thane, Maharashtra.
Okay.
Can you go back to your the equipment used?
Yeah.
Please.
Sure. Let me share my presentation again. This one, right, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you were using the nail initially, and later on you use this part.
Yeah. I don't know if the system is blurring my hand here. So do you see this device, sir?
Yeah.
So this is that, first of all, this is that device which I purchased. So this is that solenoid valve connected with wire, which basically this outlet will release as and when I ask it to at the exact timer, whatever time I say. It's a combination of plumbing as well as some electronics engineering. This is just a tube.
Okay.
Because overnight, this is again, adding to your question, I'm adding more information for all people. Because overnight, when I'm sitting for the entire night, lot of failures, thousands of photographs. So this was not enough for me. The quantity of water was just probably 200 ml. So what I did is I got this extender from another plumber. So it just adds to it. So it contains more water. So it holds almost more than half a liter.
Okay.
So this was the main device. This is that controller which where I can connect my camera, my up to 2 flash, and here up to 3 walls I can connect, and then there's power. This is that guar gum and xanthan gum that I'm using. So I want to add one more thing. I was interchangeably using guar gum and xanthan gum. Initially, I invested in xanthan gum, but it created a lot of foam. It was, if you see the description also, it says foaming, used for thickening, foaming, and emulsification. So this was causing a lot of problem to me. I was not getting very accurate results. So later I invested in this. I bought it from Amazon on the Urban Platter. This is a guar gum. This is more predictable. So now coming to your main question, the focusing aid. So if you see this picture, the first one here, the nail, it is solid. There's no hole in between. When the droplet is falling here, it splashes across. Right. So that disadvantage I had.
Yes.
So it splashes around, it doesn't fall. So it is just an alternative where the droplet falls into the hollow here. It looks like a nail only in the front, but it is hollow here. So because it is hollow, and I mean, we are going for a very high aperture, right? So it is not that I have to focus on that exact center point. So you focus on manually on this surface. That is enough. That will suffice, and I'll get good clarity. So the droplet falls through this. Like I said, this has to be inverted in actual setting. So it falls here, and you focus on this point.
Okay, this is to be kept in the... Sorry, ma'am.
Sorry, so when you're doing the picture, you remove that, right?
Yes. So I try a couple of picture test shots without the camera. You don't even have to get camera out to get the settings first. You can keep camera in safely in your wardrobe, get the settings right. Like the droplet, if there are 3 droppers, all 3 droppers should fall into this. This itself takes more than 1 hour. So the preparations is 80%. The results probably is only 10%. Then the 10% to clean up also. So it's only a lot of work without the camera. Only 10% work is of the camera, that I would say. So first 1 hour preparing the liquid, creating the droppers. I mean, aligning the droppers such that it falls into this. And then arranging all the flashes, getting the colors right, and even without camera, just look with your bare eyes if the collision is happening, if the Worthington jet is coming, and then get your camera out. So that is how I learned over these years. This cost like what, 20 rupees. I paid only 20 rupees for this, and it is like a boon. This was the best investment I ever did.
So can you give me the address of the, you can say where I can get the droppers and all these things?
Sure, sir. There is a website called Drop Robo.
Drop Robo.
Drop Robo. You can see here Drop Robo. There's a website.
Okay. Website.
Yes, sir. So you will get. You can contact there. There will be a contact number. There will be all the details. It's been a long time since I connected with them.
Actually, Ananth,
Yes, sir.
they have stopped the manufacturing and trading
Oh.
this equipment from Pune,
Oh.
right?
Yeah, Pune.
They have stopped it now. We are not getting in India. You have to import it. Whoever is coming from abroad, you have to get it from there.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I also tried to get all this. So I came to know that they are not trading with this.
Okay. Yeah. So even I didn't do anything in Droplet throughout 2024. So if I'll have to see as well. Yeah. So we'll check around, sir, where we get this. But that was my source also, droprobo.com. But if they are not shipping now, that is something we need to figure out.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Anybody else? Any questions?
Ananth, can you
Yeah.
just throw some light on how much the whole equipment costed you? Of course, now it's not available, but at least when you bought it, how much it costed?
It didn't cost more than 20. It did cost me more than 20 for all these. I mean, definitely I cannot include these 4. I already had those. Only for the horizontal bar, I think I paid 400. This droppers and this all these trays, including everything, all the trays, it didn't cost me more than 20, including the course.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? Well, if there are no questions coming, then I guess we can end the presentation. Again, thank you so much, Ananth. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And do clean up your equipment and get it ready so that we can have some demonstrations and we can also have some, a workshop or whatever. And check out and see where you can procure the equipment from. Because if anybody is going to learn, they would want the equipment as well.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, ma'am, and thanks to
Yeah.
YPS also to inviting me and giving me a chance to present my work.
Great work, Ananth. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for
Thank you,
joining.
Ananth.
Have a
Thank you.
great
Bye.
Sunday. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Satish, sir. Bye.